Namaskar students, myself Dr. Kirti Joshi, Assistant Professor, Food and Biotech Department. Today's session is about etiology and clinical features of diabetes mellitus. First, we talk about insulin. Insulin increases utilization of glucose by muscles and adipose tissues, also increases the synthesis of glycogen in the liver and muscles, and reduces glycogenolysis and glyconeogenesis. In adipose tissues, insulin increases synthesis of fatty acids, promotes lipogenesis, lipolysis, and also synthesis of ketones. Insulin facilitates protein metabolism, increases absorption of amino acids, synthesis of proteins, and reduces their catabolism. Insulin also increases metabolism of nucleotides, absorption and synthesis of nucleotides, nucleic acids, as well as RNA, DNA increases. Insulin takes part in the process of growth and differentiation of all body tissues. It supports their energy status, provide differentiation, activation of immunocomponent, lymphocytes. Due to the synthesis of proteins and nucleotides, the process of transcription and translation of genetic informations are carried out. This is the mechanism of insulin secretion. Now, diabetes mellitus. The diabetes mellitus or DM describes a metabolic disorder of multiple etiology characterized by chronic hyperglycemia, that is elevation of glucose in the blood with disturbance of carbohydrate, fat and protein metabolism resulting from defects in insulin secretion, insulin action, or both its secretion and action. Diabetes mellitus is a group of metabolic diseases resulting from variable interaction of hereditary and environmental factors, which is presented by hyperglycemia following absolute or relative insulin indeficiency that causes metabolic manifestations reflected in a tendency towards accelerated non-specific atherosclerosis, micro and macrogenopathy, neuropathy, increased susceptibility to infection also. Etiological classification of diabetes mellitus. There are three types of diabetes mellitus: type 1, type 2, and gestational diabetes mellitus. Now, firstly, we discussed about type 1 diabetes mellitus. There is beta cell destruction, usually leading to absolute insulin deficiency. It may be of two types. First, idiopathic type 1, which refers to rare forms of disease with no cause. And second one is immunomediated diabetes, an autoimmune disorder in which the body's immune system destroys or attempts to be destroyed the cell in the pancreas that produce insulin. In type 2 diabetes mellitus, it is predominantly insulin restriction with relative insulin deficiency or predominantly an insulin secretion defect with or without insulin resistance. Third one is gestational diabetes mellitus. There is carbohydrate intolerance resulting in hyperglycemia of variable severity with onset of or first stagnation during the pregnancy time. Criteria of diagnosis: there is polydipsia, hyperglycemia, polyuria, and rapid weight loss occurs in the patient. Manifestation of diabetes mellitus: there is thirst, which is also called as polydipsia. Glucoseuria means glucose in the urine. Hyperglycemia means elevation of glucose level in the blood. Itching of skin and genitals. Rapid weight loss, considerable general weakness, polyuria, and polyphagia. Thank you. This session is powered by 2.0 JV University. Hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box. Thank you. Namaskar student, myself Dr. Kirti Joshi, Assistant Professor, Food and Biotech Department, JV University. This session is about basic principles of research designs. Professor Fisher has enumerated three principles of experimental designs. First one, principle of replication. Second, principle of randomization. And third, principle of local control. Now, firstly, we'll discuss about principle of replication. According to this, the experiment should be repeated more than once. Thus, each experiment is applied in many experimental units instead of only one. By doing so, the statistical accuracy of the experiments is increased. Each treatment is applied in many experimental units instead of one. By doing so, the statistical accuracy of the experiment is increased. The results so obtained will be more reliable in comparison to the conclusion we drawn without applying the principle of replication. The entire experiment can even be repeated several times for better results. Replication is introduced in order to increase the preciousness of a study. It is to say, to increase the accuracy with which the main effects and interactions can be estimated. Now, moving towards the second principle, that is principle of randomization. This provides protection against the effect of extraneous factors by randomization. We may apply randomization principles and protect ourselves against the effect of extraneous factors. Provides protection when we conduct an experiment against the effect of extraneous factors by randomization. In other words, this principle indicates that we should design or plan the experiment in such a way that the variations caused by extraneous factors can all be combined under the general heading of chance. We may apply randomization principles and protect ourselves against the effect of extrinsic factors. As such, through the application of the principles of randomization, we can have a better estimate of the experimental error. Now, moving towards the third and final principle, that is principle of local control. According to this principle, we first divide the field into several homogeneous parts known as blocks, and then each of such block is divided into part equal to the number of treatments. Under the extraneous factors, the known source of variability is made to vary deliberately over as wide a range as necessary, and this need to be done in such a way that the variability it causes can be measured and hence estimated from the experimental error. This means that we should plan the experiment in a manner that we can perform a two-way analysis of variance in which the total variability of the data is divided into three components attributed to treatments. In brief, through the principle of local control, we can estimate the variability due to extraneous factor or factors from the experimental error. This session is powered by Digital Version 2.0 JV University. Hope you are satisfied with my digital session. Thank you.